There was another thing that occurred, another blast from the past, right? Because as you'll know, when all of the skin stuff was popping off, there were a number of people reporting about it all. You know, there was me, obviously. Phantom Lord was the big one, although I think I did some stuff on Mo too. And, you know, obviously did a lot of additional work on a lot of these other sites, some of the smaller ones. But of course, the other big one was CSGO Lotto. That was the other big scandal. Now, a lot of people erroneously attribute that story to me, but it actually wasn't. It was a Call of Duty YouTuber called Honor the Call actually broke that story. Anyway, I haven't given a lot of thought to that era. You know, I've talked to Syndicate. Me and him, you know, we're all fucking coup de la. I've been out drinking with him twice since the story all broke. I mean, you know, when I was at the Esports Awards with him when I last saw him, he literally, we were having a drink and he said, listen, mate, I'm glad all of that shit went down, and I'm glad that you fucking held my feet to the fire. If you hadn't, I might have turned into something I hate. There's a healthy respect there. I've always said we'll have to do the ultimate podcast together and talk about all that time. But, you know, it's kind of like, I understand why they want to leave it in the past. I get it. But just to be absolutely clear, it's not that what they did was simply a failure to disclose. It's an FTC violation. Wasn't rigged rolls or fucking with the provably fair system, and they completely opened the back end of the website to the FTC. They even offered it to me, you know? So there is no question in my mind. I don't think they were rigging rolls. I think they explained that video they did where they won. I think they said that was like, it was just a fake panel. It wasn't a real win. But other than that, you know, they never actually took money from their users. So, why am I talking about this? Well, funnily enough, it's weird how people have a tendency to, like, resurface. Tmartn was on the PKA podcast. Bizarrely, I don't know if they just didn't know enough about it or if it was an agreement. They didn't discuss any of the CSGO Lotto scandal. They didn't discuss the CSGO Lotto scandal at all. They just didn't go into it. And so this picture, this picture was posted after the podcast episode. This picture was posted to the PKA subreddit in a thread entitled, "Pretty shameless to have this massive dickhead on the show without even discussing that he made his fortune promoting child gambling." There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussions about, you know, what he'd done and what he hadn't done. And some people were defending him, and some people were saying, hey, listen, he abused a once-in-a-lifetime loophole and made his fortune. Wish I'd done that. Others were like, it'd all be fine if it wasn't for the kids. Others were like, fuck this guy. I got the impression some people were just, you know, they didn't even really know what they were talking about, and they were angry at him because they thought he was wealthy, which is, you know, a common thing. But anyway, Tmartn, after the podcast, actually took the time to answer some of the questions. And there's some, you know, there's some interesting tidbits of information in there. So first of all, he replied to the person who made the thread, and he said, I didn't make a fortune from it. After expenses running the site, the lawsuits after it was shut down, because if you remember, I think it was in 2 class action suits, lost sponsorships and the huge scar on my reputation. I lost money. Impossible to give an amount, but it's a significant figure. I was surprised that we never touched on anything CSGO Lotto related in the podcast. I expected we would, and I was definitely open to talking about it. Not sure if the guys were doing me a solid or if they don't care. Yes, I am an asshole. People then said, you know, oh, what did he do? And he said, we didn't disclose that we owned it, but it wasn't a scam. The site was real. The games were real and provably fair. The business was established with a team of lawyers to ensure legality. It was completely legitimate. And to an extent, I'm proud of what we were able to build. Of course, I'm not proud of all of my actions and decisions involved in it. Then somebody said, you should be in prison. Which, of course, come on, guys. Listen, I hate dickheads that steal and lie and abuse their platform. But no, he shouldn't be in prison. None of the people on this site should be in prison. But he said you can't go to prison for not disclosing ownership, sponsorship. Prison was never even on the table, just something made up by drama channels for clickbait. The FTC investigated, determined the only foul play was the fact we didn't disclose ownership properly, and then punished accordingly with a fine. Then it went on a little bit more. Then somebody brought up the fortune again, the money, and he said, look, 10 years of being a B-tier YouTuber is where my fortune came from, lol. Unfortunately, a lot of those random accusations have been accepted as fact by people who don't truly know anything about the situation. That it was a scam, that it targeted children, etc. Site was legitimate. The site was not targeting children. It's an M-rated game, and you need a credit card, so you have to be 18 plus, to purchase skins. What we did is not properly disclose that we owned it, and we were punished for that. Of course, this is all legally speaking. My character can be called into question. People said, oh, they were rigging rolls, which of course a lot of people were. There's no evidence to suggest these guys were. Every game on the site was legitimate and legal. Every skin won and lost was legit. Minors were definitely not targeted. It was an M-rated game. In other words, talking about CSGO here to get the skins. You need a credit card to purchase those skins. We were in the process of implementing an ID check when the shit hit the fan, so that never got to see the light of day. I can't sit here and pretend minors did not potentially have access, and my videos did not expose them to gambling on a large scale, but I wasn't even considering that in the moment, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. Another little interesting bit is here, where he talks about his demographics. He basically showed, because the allegation was that his audience was primarily kids. So, fair enough. He shows the receipts and actually shows the demographics from his channel at that time. And you can see, look, of the age and gender, most of his audience was 18 to 34 years old. 2/3 of his audience was that old. There was only, 10% is still a sizable amount. I barely got any, teens, tweens, zoomers, whatever you want to call them. The bulk of mine is, again, it's not dissimilar to that. Although I will say, I probably got the biggest amount of fucking 55 and 65 plus followers on Twitch, which is nice, even though I'm not old. I'm 39. So he said, look, 90% of my audience is 18 or older. So do some people lie about their age when they sign up to a YouTube account? Sure. But the vast majority of my audience was adults. He also responded to when it all went down, how do you think you handled it? And he said, from a damage control perspective, Syndicate and Josh OG handled it incredibly well by just shutting the fuck up. I panicked and wanted to talk to my audience. The problem was I couldn't really say anything, such as a real apology or defend myself, because there was an FTC investigation and a class action lawsuit ongoing. Anything I said would have been used. So cue the lawyer's scripted and approved apology video. That's the one where he dances with the dog. Terrible, not genuine, made me look like an absolute monster. Biggest mistake of my life. Biggest mistake. And then, just as a final response, he clarified the owners of the site didn't get better odds when we played. That was never proven. It wasn't true. The FTC investigation went over every email, every chat log, every developer conversation, and looked at every line of code on the site. If there was foul play involved, they would have found it. There wasn't. Non-disclosure was the only thing we were at fault for. Now, interestingly enough, he didn't want to get into answering questions about the pyramid scheme he promoted after that. But that can wait for another day, can't it? But yeah, he did. He went straight in to promoting a pyramid scheme. And they said it was multi-level marketing, but it was a straight-up fucking Ponzi or pyramid scheme. It called United Games. Yeah, he actually went out of his way to promote that and then quickly deleted all evidence he'd ever promoted it, as indeed the company and the product itself strangely disappeared once people had bought into it. Crazy. I've got a video about that if you're interested. The video itself is called Tmartn at It Again. What is United Games? And that was back in the day when I was just a big head with a microphone in my mouth, looking like Prometheus, doing it off a laptop. Yeah, I call this big head, but it's really small head. This is the true big head days.
First tweet here is, he says, I suggest you do your research before making more false accusations. Lamau. United Games has no betting factor whatsoever. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to show you a clip of the United Games official video, their introductory app. You tell me if this sounds like betting.
Hi, I'm Mark Monji, Chief Creative Officer at United Games.
About this. What a classic.
Welcome to our first product walkthrough demonstration. First, let's talk about a few principles in our game. Some people have asked, is our game a fantasy sports app? No, we are not, but we are an adjunct to fantasy sports. In fantasy sports games, you make your predictions and analysis prior to the live event. And then once you've watched all your teams participate that have your fantasy players, you go and see your end results. In our app, we play live during the sporting event. Here I come into my pre-game mode now. I wish to play pre-game, and so as the countdown clock runs, I'm ready to play and go into play. Now I'm presented with my pre-game predictions. In our app, we play live during the sporting event. This is a basic odds point spread based on the two teams I have available to me, the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. A point spread, you say? And based on these odds spreads,
sound seal of approval.
So you can see right there, you know, it does sound a lot like there's sports betting going on.
If you want to look into the one he got away with, go look that up. I'm kind of gutted because Tmartn never responded to any of my attempts to get involved with him. And of course, what a lot of people didn't realize was one of the reasons that Hastro and me stopped talking, we'd always been quite pally, was because I said, listen, Tmartn's on the board at Envy, right? Because he was. Tmartn was a fucking board member of Envious. And I'm like, you know, I seem to remember Envious players, like good guys, like NBK, advertising his website, right? So you made your players complicit because of this board affiliation. He's been found guilty by the FTC. He's promoted a fucking pyramid scheme. What's it going to take to fucking kick him off or buy him out? And Hastro said to me, he said, I understand you have to generate drama for clicks. Me! Like I'm some fucking drama YouTuber. I'll have you know, I'm not only the greatest esports journalist to have ever done it, sometimes known as esports Jesus. I went on to be a Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. I don't talk about it much, but the best of all time. Drama, clicks, the outrage. Recently declared to be a reputable journalist in the court of California. You can't take it back, guys. But anyway, because of that, Hastro and me just stopped talking because I was just like, mate, you can stick that allegation up your ass. Like, all the way up your ass, because it's not who I am and it's not why I do it. You shouldn't be I don't want people like Tmartn associated in esports. He's always the one I got the sense was the genuinely least apologetic about it all, you know, and everyone else seems to get way more shit. It's like, you know, Syndicate got loads of shit. And fucking everyone says to like Summit, you know, why won't you renounce Josh OG? Why do you talk to him? Why? He's evil. He scams kids. And Summit's like, he's my friend. I've known him before the scandal. And he's like, you know, I'm not going to fucking renounce my friends because who would do that? You know, well, fuck you, Summit. Yeah. That's what they say. So that's literally how it was happening. Tmartn was just like, right. Lost a ton of money because of the lawyers and the hit to the sponsors and all that. And the dancing dog thing didn't work. Pyramid scheme it is. So, you know, and it was just like he was happy to just lean into being a piece of shit. And people forgot about him for some reason. Like, that is like the ultimate way. Fucking crazy. So, I thought it was interesting to see him, like, resurface, you know. Like something out of a Lovecraftian nightmare. But, like I said, I think you know, my career probably won't be 100% complete the way I would have liked it. I would love to sit down with him and grill him. A proper one. And he says he's up for it. Maybe we can make it happen. He blocked me on Twitter at the height of the scandal, so probably not. But, you know, maybe.
I let you off once before. deserve to come back here and